Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. In order to maintain its technological hegemony, the United States has been trying to obstruct China's development in recent years, focusing on continuously tightening chip export controls and adding more Chinese companies to the entity list, hoping to curb China's high-tech development such as semiconductors. Even so, it didn't seem to have achieved the desired effect. So it began to intensify, starting from fighting alone and starting to pull allies to jointly restrict and encircle China. In this regard, China no longer tolerates it, so strong counterattacks are coming one after another. The United States first attacked China's ZTE, but ZTE was caught off guard and failed to withstand the pressure. Later, it could only pay money for reconciliation and develop under the supervision of others. However, through its own efforts, ZTE finally got rid of the shackles of the United States and began to move against the trend. The United States has tasted the sweetness from ZTE. After Huawei achieved global leadership in 5G, it began to target Huawei again. It thought it would be easy, but this time it kicked the iron plate. Although 4 rounds of sanctions have been implemented in a row, Huawei is still moving forward. Huawei did not fall because of this, but it aroused stronger fighting spirit and achieved more domestic substitutions during the 3-year sanctions period. In terms of chips, although the restrictions on chips in the United States are getting tighter and tighter, the development of chips in China has not slowed down, but has developed faster. Many Chinese companies originally insisted that manufacturing is worse than buying, but now more and more use domestic production. After the United States implemented the chip ban, China's chip production capacity and the localization rate of semiconductor manufacturing equipment have both achieved a significant increase. In particular, smic, although it was added to the list of entities, is still moving forward against the wind. It has achieved large-scale mass production of 14 nanometers chips, and has continuously invested 170 billion yuan to build 4 mature process plants, which will double its chip production capacity. Facts have proved that the US sanctions restrictions have basically failed. But of course the United States is unwilling to see this situation, so it introduced the most stringent export control regulations in October last year, and then actively wooed Japan and the Netherlands to reach a joint restriction agreement. After the agreement was reached, none of the 3 parties announced relevant information to the outside world. Recently, the Netherlands took the lead in announcing the strengthening of export controls on advanced equipment, and will implement restrictions together with the United States. Recently, Japan also announced that it will restrict 23 types of chip equipment in 6 categories. Although neither the Netherlands nor Japan mentioned China in their restrictions, and said they were not targeting specific countries, their intentions are obvious. In this regard, of course, China cannot bear it any longer, saying that it will take decisive measures, and recently implemented a set of combined punches. First of all, we strongly request the United States, Japan and Netherlands to clarify. At the recent WTO Council meeting, the Chinese representative made it clear that the United States, Japan, and the Netherlands have reached an agreement on chip export restrictions that have been widely exposed by the media, and asked the 3 parties to explain this. China asked the three parties to answer, does the agreement exist? If so, should WTO members be notified and reviewed? China clearly pointed out that the relevant members may have realized that the agreement violated WTO rules, so they concealed it from the public. China publicly questioned the tripartite agreement at the WTO. I am afraid that Biden did not expect it. The United States, Japan and the Netherlands are all speechless. Second, the export of key technologies will be restricted. Recently, public opinion sources have shown that the United States has wooed Japan and the Netherlands to implement chip restrictions and containment. China may counterattack by restricting the supply of magnets necessary for decarbonization. It is said that it is accelerating in recent days. China has updated the catalogue of prohibited technologies for export, adding high-performance magnets using rare earths such as neodymium and samarium cobalt. China's neodymium magnets account for 84% of the world, and Japan 15%. Samarium cobalt magnets are more than 90% in China, but less than 10% in Japan. Magnets are the core components that determine the performance of motors, and are widely used in industries such as electric vehicles, aircraft, mobile phones, and robots. If China prohibits the export of magnet manufacturing technology, the United States, Europe and other places can only completely rely on China in the future. The collection of opinions on the revision of the technical catalogue has been completed, and related work has been accelerated recently, and it is expected to be implemented within this year. Furthermore, review the U.S. company Micron. Recently, the Cyberspace Administration of China has announced the review of Micron's products sold in China. Although it was just a normal review, it was identified as a counterattack. So the US media said, China underestimated China's determination. Micron, as a giant in the global storage industry, is restless and has repeatedly encouraged the United States to impose restrictions on Chinese storage companies. In recent years, Micron has continuously targeted JIC, CXMT, and YMTC. Now it is its own fault for being censored. For this reason, the president of ASML took the initiative to come to China to meet and communicate, and Intel, Qualcomm, Broadcom, etc. were also worried that they would be like Micron. Today, the censorship of companies that have eaten their own food has also fully demonstrated China's determination. If you want to cooperate, you can fight back resolutely if you want to compete unfairly. If you impose restrictions on chip exports to China, China will inevitably take strong countermeasures.